Hello ladies and gents, this is another video brought to you by Hood. This video today is going to be about my Lasius Nigers or Nigers. I tend to call them Nigers to be fair, but pronounce it how you wish. I really don't care. If you watched my first video, my ant cave tour, you'll see I've got quite a few Niger colonies in different setups. But for some reason, I seem to massively overlook them in my ant cave, mainly looking at more of my exotic species. And let's be honest, if you watch my other videos, you'll see that the polys have taken quite a fair bit of my time as well recently. It's widely accepted in the ant community that Nigers are probably the easiest ants to start with. They're a great beginner species, and especially in the UK, because they're native, you don't massively need to worry about the climate requirements for them, which are up on the screen now, because the natural environment around us is suited for them, so we don't need to worry about it like you do with like my other species, like my exotic species. Another reason why these are great beginner species is because they're so robust and forgiving. As you can see here, all I've done is used a Chinese takeaway box, put some mud in it and put the test tube in it. I was kind of hoping they'd move into the mud and dig around in it, which they have to a certain extent, but they just stayed in the test tube because Nigers are just nightmares to move. They're so stubborn, in fact. Out of the 5 colonies that I've got, I have attached nests to just about all of them, and they just outright refuse to move out the test tube. Nigers are notoriously difficult to move. They're just pains in the butt big time. But enough about me complaining about how stubborn they are, because it's just like my wife, stubborn. Don't tell her I said that. Shh. As you can see from the test tube, it's completely run out of water now. So I bought myself an Antboy UK Lasius Nest Elite in the hopes that they'd move into it, but they didn't. They're just being stubborn as. I mean, the humidity's right, I keep everything right in the nest, but they just being Lasius, they're just, nah, I ain't moving, mate. So you ain't going to see me in a nest, so leave me alone. That is totally their attitude. The only trouble you're ever going to get from these ants, that's if they don't escape, is their reluctance to move. They're so stubborn. This next setup is probably one of my favourite ones for the Nigers. It's the Canada Ant Tower. It's basically a big pile of dirt in a tower, and they dig into it. Now, Nigers being Nigers, they've done a lot of excavation, as you can see here, but yes, you guessed it, they've just moved all the dirt into the test tubes, and they're still living in the test tube. I mean, come on. I did expect the Nigers to move once they'd done all the digging around in this setup, but they didn't. But like I said, it is what it is with Nigers. They're just stubborn. But as you can see here, I've taken the red filter off so you can have a look around to see what they've actually done, and they've dug quite a fair bit in one really big chamber. I do apologise for the quality of this filming. It was a really weird angle to do, but look at the size of that chamber they've excavated. Due to the amount of soil that they've excavated and dumped on top, it's starting to get a bit difficult to feed them, so I'm thinking about getting an outworld and attaching it to this setup so this can still be the nest area, but that's gonna have to wait till payday. All in all, they're doing really well. They're expanding relatively quickly, and they've got loads and loads of brood and eggs, as you can see in this next picture, so they've got a bright future ahead of them, and I'm enjoying looking after these. This next setup uses the high-tech ant outworld. I did have their high-tech ant medium nest attached to this, but they managed to escape out of it because they're so small. They never fully moved into it anyway, so I just disconnected it and they moved back into the test tube. Those little trays of tinfoil there is what I feed the ants when they're in test tube setups. I've just left them in there because I moved them, was intending to move them, should I say, and ended up staying in the test tube as explained before. And by that point they moved all the brood on it, so I just left them where they are. As you can see here, I've got loads and loads of brood piles, loads of eggs and stuff like that, so they're doing really well in this setup, to be fair. As you'll see shortly, I think I just got a look at the queen, and yeah, there she is. Now she's doing fine and happy, as you can tell from here, so this setup's doing alright too. This next setup, due to the reluctance of the Nigers to move, I've just kept them in the test tube and attached a little Tupperware outward for them. As you can see here, they've got loads of brood, so they're doing really well, and they've got plenty of space to expand as well because I use such big test tubes. But what I noticed when I did pull them out to do a bit of filming is the water's turned yellow, so I'm going to need to address that. How I'm going to do that, I haven't got a Scooby-Doo at the moment, but I'll try and figure that out shortly. Once I figure out how to address that, I might film it and let you know, or just tell you in my next video about these ants. Now, I did talk about this next setup in my ant cave tour. The situation's not changed. I still hate it. I've managed to address them escaping by blocking up all the holes, but they're not doing too well in it, so I'm either going to set them free in nature, as it were, or move them on. I'm not sure yet. But that's it for today then, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next one.